Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Open Book Broadcast, where we talk about anything and everything to do with books and publishing and all the things in between. And we are an open book about it. I'm your host, Allie, with the Right Place, Right Time. I'm a ghostwriter, girlfriend, writing guide, and author on the journey to help you become the next name on the cover of your book. And I'm so excited to be welcoming my guest today, Donna Cravotta. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Allie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you. So, before we jump into our conversation, I am going to formally introduce this fabulous woman who is with me today. Donna is the CEO and founder of Cravotta Media Group and the creator of visibility packages for
Yeah.
authors, speakers, and content creators. She helps them tell their stories in a strategic, organic, and human way with story driven marketing assets. After years of creating strategies and building customized online platforms, Donna saw a recurring theme. Clients never had the marketing assets they needed to effectively implement the strategies. So she flipped her own story, and now her focus is on pulling together all of the parts to craft the stories of her clients. These assets include documentary style speaker and book reels and the mixtape reel, which tells the brand story or any story about the business, plus media kits. The design, music, and story are all custom for each client, and the strategy is built in. Her clients have shared that seeing their story through a new lens is empowering, and they feel prepared to reach higher. Ooh, so much goodness right in that bio.
Oh, it's a lot of years in the making.
Yeah. So let's just start then with like, okay, tell us about you, like the non-businessy things, but then like tell us your business origin story. Like, what's the journey to get you here doing these fabulous things for authors?
Okay. I am a born and bred New Yorker, like real Brooklyn, not trendy hipster Brooklyn. I'm from deep in the heart of a small fishing village in Brooklyn. And I am a single mom. And I have a 20-year-old son who is currently a junior in college and a mad guitar player. And I'm very proud of him. And I recently redesigned my business, and part of that was this may be a legacy business for him because he is a digital media production major
Ooh.
and sound engineering minor and a musician. So he may want to take this over one day when I've had enough. I also have a little killer cat, Molly, who's aging gracefully and now sleeps more than she kills, but she, goes out into her little woods every now and again and brings me a gift. And I hope to be spent now that my son is launched. I hope to be spending more time traveling and bike riding. And one of my goals is to ride my bike around Europe. So maybe I'll get to do that soon.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love everything about that. Europe, cats, kids. I love that you said that now that your son has launched. Oh my gosh, I'm stealing that when my son is old enough to be able to say that. He's only 7, so I've got some time
It,
to
it,
go.
it comes fast. It comes faster than you think.
Oh my gosh. Just the other day, he compared his foot size with mine while he was in the tub. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? How can I curl my toes over his toes already? Like, and I'm sure that it'll plateau at some point, but I was just
Oh,
like, oh
it
my
it
God,
it
so
does.
fast.
My son and I used to do that with our hands all the time, and now he here. But the first time that he realized he was taller than me, he goes, "Well, am I going to stay taller than you?" I said, "Sweetie," I said, at this point, you keep growing, and I just get square."
Oh my gosh, I love that. I just get square. That's amazing. Oh, Lord. Okay, so you're a single mom. So when did you go out on your own in terms of entrepreneurship, starting your own business? Was that while he was a little guy? Was that
Yeah.
like kind of as he got older? Like tell us a little bit about kind of the emerging into your own business.
I was working in law firms. I was a project manager in like these large global law firms. And the last firm I worked at, I was at for 17 years. And I had to travel a lot because we had offices all over the world. And I was like running these projects on the financial applications and some of the marketing applications. So I would have to go to offices all over the world and do training and implementation and, due diligence and all of these things, which was a blast when I was single and no children. But when I had my son and I quickly became a single parent, I realized, this isn't going to work long term because I was working part time. They allowed me to, after he was born, they allowed me to work part time, but I had to keep it a secret. And my part time was 40 to 50 hours a week. And it was a
Oh,
little insane. So I now live about an hour north of the city, and I was commuting, and I was on a train every day at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I was getting home at 9 o'clock at night or later, and then I would have to get on, like, it wasn't Zoom at the time, it was Skype with Abu Dhabi, and start training them at 3 in the morning. And I was like, this is just not going to work. How am I going to do this? I'm not even going to know my child. And I was like, well, maybe I should put him up for adoption. I'm like, what are you thinking? I mean, I never had a job interview. I had a job interview in 1983, and like one job led to another job, led to another job. I was like, I don't even know how to say what I do, because I was in a job that was created for me. And I went on one job interview, and the woman said to me, had me wait a half an hour. She came out and she said, "You're totally overqualified." But that was my first job out of college, and I had to meet the person who worked there for 17 years.
oh,
So I somehow stumbled across a virtual assistant who lived in Florida, and
mm,
she became like my beacon of hope. And I was like, I just kept saying, if she could do it, I could do it. If she could do it, I could do it. And I didn't even know what it was. I was like, but like, I was like, I'm supporting a business here and nobody appreciates it. I'm sure if I can support small businesses, I can, bring my skills there. And in 2006, when my son was 4 and getting ready to go to school, I realized if I didn't make a change now, it was going to be really bad. And he was going to be the one to pay the price. And I just said, screw it. I'm going to quit this job. And it was a very good job. And like, there was nobody else helping me. I was like, I'm going to quit this job and I'm going to start this virtual business. And everybody thought I totally lost my mind. And I did it. And I did everything. I like, in the beginning, nobody knew what a virtual assistant was. I was going to BNI meetings, and people were like, what do you do? Do you want to rearrange my closets? I was like, will you pay me to do that? And I rearranged their closets. And I organized a Chinese themed bat mitzvah, and some guy paid me $75 an hour to put page numbers and footers because nobody in his office knew how to do it. And I did whatever I had to do for the first year or two because nobody knew what I was doing. And then I
yeah.
landed a client who was a hand model. I went
A
to
hand model,
a hand model. I went,
like posing things in their
yeah,
hands.
yeah.
Okay.
And I went to my neighbor's house for a New Year's Eve party, and she was there in a snowstorm with gloves on and no sock and no shoes. And I was like, I need to talk to her. And she had just launched a line of anti-aging hand care products and didn't know how to do anything. She was paying a PR firm in New York City $5,000 a month to get her into magazines, which they did, but they didn't know how to use social media. So they kept trying to get me to teach them how to use social media. And I was like, no. So I told the hand model, I said, fire them, hire me to do PR, because I was doing PR in the law firm for years. I knew how to do it. And I was like, let's just use everything that they got for you. We'll turn it into things, assets, marketing assets. We ended up, so we did that. I got her on really small blogs, and then we tracked the hashtag dry hands in 3 time zones at 11 o'clock at night. And we sold $100,000 worth of hand cream in 8 months with no marketing budget. And
Wow.
Um, so I learned how to do SEO. I learned how to build websites, and I worked with her for years. She ended up getting acquired by another company. She was on HSN. I think it was 10 or 12 times. She sold out twice. Then she was acquired by another company. But she attributes that to the work that we did together, because she would have lost it all, but I put her on the map in a very
Oh,
targeted way. And then that just led one thing to another thing to another thing. And I ended up with an agency. Um, when my son was graduating high school in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, I was in the middle of a pretty serious health issue. And then I was burnt out after that. I had some big clients that were very demanding. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I need a simpler way to do this. I'm going into this next phase of life. My son is in college. I have a virtual business. I don't need to work this hard anymore. So
Right.
I kind of like ripped apart my business and started to, go through everything and what do I like to do? What do I want? What do I not want? What am I going to want in a couple of years? And I realized I didn't want a big team, which I was going to need to keep going in this agency model. And I didn't want to work that hard. I didn't want to do all these things. I didn't want that level of responsibility. And one of the things that I realized was in 16 years, I never had a client that came to me with the marketing assets that they needed. And I thought back to my hand model story and like how we changed her entire business by taking stuff she already had
Yeah.
and created new things out of it and breathed new life into her business. And I just like tested it out on some friends and some people that I know, authors, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. Um, and oh, I forgot to add one thing in there. I've been working with authors and speakers since probably 2009. So, and I did every part of it. I trained as a virtual author's assistant. So, I did everything from the planning to the publishing to the right, all of it, citations, everything. And I hated every part but the marketing. Um,
Yeah.
and I know how to get you an ISBN number. But
Oh my
anyway,
God.
fast forward again back to me redesigning my business. I just wanted something simple, and there was the day that I sat down and I pulled out 14 pages off of my website, which was all the strategy stuff, because I was building these big, complicated strategies that would take people years, would support their businesses for years, and it included marketing, PR, SEO, content development, all of these things, and it was like somebody gut punched me. I was like, "That's years of learning, years of work, years of experience." And, I just sat there and I looked at my computer and I was like, "Can I really just make pretty things in Canva?" And the answer is yes. You can, because
Oh
people need them, and they're easy. So now we create these little videos, book reels, speaker reels, and the mixtape, which is basically anything that isn't a book reel or a speaker reel. And so far, we've done them for events. I've taken a sales page and turned it into a video. Um, I did a video for a tarot card reader. So we used like all of her little videos of her pulling cards. It's been a lot of fun, and I have some other ideas that I'm like going to be rolling out over the next couple of months. I want to work with podcasters. I think they're really good for podcasters because you could do either like a overview of the show with their guests and their
yeah.
topics and things like that. And then we could also create videos that they could use for pitching for investors and for advertisers that talk about the behind the scenes stuff of their shows. So I'm really excited about it because they're like these little mini documentaries. It tells the whole story. And then what my clients have been telling me is that when they see their story through somebody else's eyes, but it's all their stuff, and it's them actually saying it, it just changes it for them. It elevates their confidence. And, like they're
Yeah.
going and they're reaching for things that they would not have reached for just a short time ago. And
Right.
the other thing that we're doing is media kits because most people just have a speaker one sheet. But a speaker one sheet isn't enough because you haven't thought through the things that people are going to ask you in an interview, or if you're pitching for a speaking opportunity or for the media, you haven't thought through like what are my topics, what are the questions I want people to ask me, and like a host of other things. So I use that I have now, I'm using the same questionnaire that I used in my agency, so it's very detailed, and I'm poking you with a stick and asking you a lot of questions, and then turning that into things that will make your life easier in the long run, because you now have a video that shares your story. You don't have to share your story over and over again, and you also have this media kit that's designed on a system I created in 1995 when I worked in law firms, where there's basically speaker one sheet, which is an overview, and then there's a sheet for everything you do, and you mix and match it based on what you're pitching because every pitch needs to be customized. So that's what I'm doing. And then we have a course coming out shortly. It's going to be called Tried and New, because it's everything is about, what you've already tried and what works and what's new that you can take to it. And when we create these stories, what I have been finding is that people just discard all of these wonderful things that they've done because they either forget about them, they
Yeah.
don't think it's relevant, or for some reason they don't want to share it. And when they see these things now come to life as part of their story, it blows them away. And the reaction that they get is like, "Oh, I've known you for 10 years and I never knew that." And then it's like, you need to meet so and so. So it's not like this isn't like a video that's gonna, 10x anything, but this is a video that is going to bring out the curiosity in people that you already know, and that already trust you, and they know what you're doing, and they're going to want to introduce you to somebody else that they never thought of before. Or it's a way to introduce yourself to people that you've never met, and your content is out there working for you while you're doing something else. And these videos are a really easy way to do that, and to do it in a very complimentary way that doesn't feel pushy or fancy. It just feels like they get to know who you are, and then they want to know more. So like my goal with this is that they just spark curiosity.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many things to comment on. Number one, I'm pretty sure that our journeys are like running on parallel tracks, despite the fact that like we grew up in different times. Like, so I also had worked in a law firm. Um, yeah, I also worked in a law firm. I walked out on my own to pursue my own business, not from the law firm, but from a different job after that. But while my son was barely 2,
Hmm.
and was figuring out divorced kind of co-parenting life for the first time, and also got my start as a virtual assistant, and I didn't even know what it was at the time. That I just like Donna, I feel like we're cut from the same cloth here.
Yeah.
So there's that, but apart from that, I think you touched on something that a lot of people haven't heard about, which is a virtual author assistant. And a virtual author assistant can be a really nice team member to have when you're an
Yeah.
author, to handle a variety of different tasks that might be administrative, or help with marketing, or help with the, as one guest on OBB had said, the unsexy parts of publishing,
Yeah.
like getting the ISBN or something like that.
And
Um,
honestly, there's people that seriously love to do this work.
Yeah. And you need those people. Like,
Yeah.
we all have our lanes,
Yeah.
and some people like those administrative details, right? So I think it's important to understand that there are different people along the way on the author journey that are impactful to your success. So what Donna's bringing to the table, and I'm just reiterating and paraphrasing here, what Donna's bringing to the table is the ability for authors to, number one, have the assets that they need to position themselves and get in front of the audience they're trying to reach, but also to do it intentionally and strategically, and also to position themselves as speakers, right?
Yes.
Like, to
Yes.
pitch to platforms
Yes.
where authors can actually talk about their main message,
Yes.
say what they're trying to actually put out there into the world, in a different mode than like somebody reading it, right? Because not everybody's a reader. People like to listen or watch video or whatever it is. So yeah, you might have written the book on it, but now the way to leverage your book is to actually, one of the ways is to get out there and speak.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, is when you upload a video about your book on your book page in Amazon, that like builds you up in the SEO on the Amazon side. They love when you put videos up there. And most people don't have one. And I honestly, most of the book videos I've seen are just really terrible.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great. Okay, everybody, write that down. That's your, like, one of your big ahas here from
Yeah.
Donna. Okay, add a video to your Amazon page with your book.
And
What other tips would you say for authors, like right out of the gate, Donna? Like, what are some of the top 3 things that when you're working with authors, you tell them about marketing themselves?
okay, first thing, if you already have an existing brand and you're creating your book cover, have them align in some way. I mean, like I've worked with clients that their brands were like, green and black, and then they make a red and purple book cover. And then when they're marketing everything, it's like this screaming thing. It doesn't match.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like one of the things that I advise people to do is if you already have a your brand is going to have 4 or 5 or 6 different colors. Take one of the colors that is not the leading color of your brand and make that the primary color on your book cover. This way, it won't get lost in whatever like the main color of your brand is, but it will be complementary and it'll look like it kind of belongs together because you're going to be marketing them together. And treat your book like a business because it is. This is
Yes.
something that could make you some money and get you out of working in law firms.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing is just be consistent with your messaging. Even though the book could be different than what your business is, or, if you haven't started a business yet, wherever you are on your journey, whatever you're doing, have some kind of like through line that goes through it. So there's consistency because consistency builds trust and trust builds relationships. And the other thing is really know who your audience is. And you want to do this before you even start writing the book because you want to start building the audience while you're writing the book. So when the book comes out, you've already got like fans. You've got people that have been cheering you along. And when you make them part of the writing process, put up polls. Like, do you like this cover or this cover? Should I use green or should I use blue? Do you like this font or this font? I'm creating a new character. What should her name be? I'm thinking of these 4 things. When you make them part of the process, they're invested and they come back. And the thing with marketing, we always want to capture people's attention, but the thing that really matters is when they come back. Because if they go away and they never come back, and they don't come back, they're never coming back. But if you can get them to come back once, they'll come back again and again and again. And when you can engage them in your writing process, they're invested in your book. And they will absolutely put down, $15 or $20 to buy it. They will bring their friends, they'll give it as gifts, they'll talk about it, and that is the best marketing that you can have. And it's
Yeah.
free. It's free.
Oh my God. Amazing. So I just added your 4 tips kind of high level into the comments for folks. If you can't see them, then you're just going to have to watch the replay. They're brilliant. But the thing that I love the most, I mean, I love all of these, like treat your book like a business. Yes, preach. I talk about this all the time with clients. Like, this is not just like you write it and then it's done. Like, your business is for all time. There's many phases. There's a life cycle, just like there is in business. So treat your book like a business, take it seriously from the beginning because you need to in order to be successful. But I also love the know your audience before you start. And in fact, the first giveaway in this 12 days of giveaways that I'm doing separately on LinkedIn, the very first one was an infographic of 10 questions to ask yourself before you get started writing. And one of them is about your audience, because knowing your audience before you get started helps you not just have your marketing hat on and bringing them into the fold so that there's people to buy your book on the other side, but when you can picture who you're writing for, your manuscript is so much clearer.
Mm-hmm. And even to expand that onto the marketing side, your marketing is easier. All of the things that people have come to me year over year over year in my business, they don't know what to say and they don't know who they're saying it to. And the way to learn that is by listening. Go and figure out where these people are. We have these tools that make it really easy to do that, but it takes time. And this is not something that you can delegate to somebody else unless you have boatloads of money. So I'm assuming that everybody that's listening to this cannot afford to do that. Learn how to do this, and it will be the best gift that you can give yourself in your business because you'll always have the answers. I call it a magic ball because, I've mentioned my cat. Like when I bring things up to her at 3 in the morning, she gives really bad advice. But when I go and I search the people that I want, like I just did this change in my business, I knew who to go to ask, is this a good idea or am I crazy? And when you could do that and you have like this live research that you can do, it's such a gift.
Yeah.
And this has been what I have been preaching for years, is that you really need to know how to do this and you'll make better decisions.
Yeah. So for those people, right, that need that kind of do-it-yourself approach, they need some education, they need some training. But ultimately, like, their budget means that they really need to try to do these things on their own. So let's first start with maybe some free and available tools that people could be employing. And then why don't we graduate into you telling us about the course you've got coming up?
Okay. All right. The first thing, simple Google search. Just search for a term or a name or whatever in Google, and look at what Google sends back to you. Like, so what's in that drop down? Like, don't go quick, go slow. And what else is in that drop down? Because now Google is telling you, oh, if you're looking for this, you're looking for this too. All right. Look down at the bottom left corner of the screen and you'll see more alternatives. Um, there's a tool called Answer the Public,
Mm,
which pulls questions that people ask in Google. The free version will give you, you can do 3 searches a day. I think it's still that way. I don't think they've changed that. The paid version is a lot of money, and like, don't get that.
okay.
There's another tool that you can get that has it incorporated in called Uber Suggest, which is an SEO tool, and you can get like lifetime access for about $300. Getting that tool and learning how to do some simple SEO will serve you like you wouldn't believe. But back to the Answer the Public, what they do is they pull in questions that people actually asked in Google based on
Mm,
the keyword that you put into the search. So you can just see the questions that people are asking and use those questions to base whatever it is you're writing. This is great for blog posts too, or content for your website or emails or anything. But get used to like finding the questions that people are already asking, and then your response to that is the paragraph underneath it. And that's also what gets picked up in Google searches, because the way that I'm just going to touch on SEO for a little bit, but the way SEO is going is they don't want you to click through. So they don't want you to click off social media. They don't want you to click off wherever you are. They want you to get the information right where you are. So in a Google search, if you notice, there's a lot of like, questions and then answers underneath that you can just see the answer right underneath. When you write your content that way, it's more inclined to come up in Google searches. So just getting into that habit of doing that, whether you're writing your book or you're writing, it works really well with nonfiction books because it's informational, but it works really well on blog posts too. And if you have a website and you craft your blog posts that way, and you do this for a period of time, it will start showing up in Google searches.
amazing. Amazing. All right. I'm adding a few tools into the comments based on Donna's suggestions. So, Donna, how do people learn how to market themselves, pitch, all those things from you in a budget friendly way that allows them to learn and also figure out how to do it themselves?
I am launching a course probably in the next 2 weeks. I just keep adding stuff to it. And it's called Tried and New. And it's about gathering your story, identifying and positioning yourself to your audience, and then pitching to podcasters, media, and for speaking opportunities. And I've written a 50-page pitching guide that goes in here. Now, this is a compilation of 7 different programs that I've written over the years. And a good portion of it is from a 12-module program that I wrote 10 years ago. So I'm taking all the things that were tried and they work, and I've incorporated them. And this new stuff I've been adding, which is why it's not done yet, is the new things, because all of this research that I've done over the years, I used to do manually, and it was very time it took a lot of time, and it took expensive tools. I had to spend thousands of dollars every year on tools to do this. But now with AI, the tools have gotten way easier to use and way more affordable. And the entry point to being able to do this work on your own is really broader. And as I said before, this is magic ball stuff. This is where like the answers come to you, and you can bring a high level of intelligence into your little tiny, tiny, tiny little book business. And you can do things that, other people can't do, because you know your audience, you know what they want, you know what they need, and you know how to get in front of them. And part of getting in front of them is PR. And I have been teaching people how to do PR for 10 years. And it is such a valuable thing, because unless you've got a lot of money, you can't hire somebody to do this properly for you. And when you hire somebody to do this for you, they are building relationships with the people that make the decisions about media for themselves. When you learn how to do this and you do it for yourself and you do it the right way, you're building those relationships for yourself. So you're not pitching for very long, because then the opportunities start to come to you. One person tells another hear you on a podcast, whatever it might be, but the opportunities start to come to you. So I'm going to be launching this in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, it's going to be incredibly cheap for a short period of time, like $300. And my intention is that a lot of people know how to do this because, things are hard. It's hard staying in business. It's hard staying afloat. It's hard staying outside of the noise. And these are all tried and true ways to do this, incorporating new technology that makes it easier to do.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Amazing. So everybody, you want to connect with Donna at her website or LinkedIn so that you know when this course launches, so you can snatch it up while it's the best price it will ever be. All right. We're talking thousands of dollars worth of value. I mean, did you hear 50 pages on pitching and getting your shit together?
Yeah,
Okay.
and in there is like templates for writing pitch letters, template,
Oh my gosh.
a Canva template to create a media kit. Um, and like when we create these videos and media kits, everything we do is custom. We do custom templates. We create everything in Canva. We give our clients all of the editable files in 3 different formats so they can use it on their own. But here's another little piece of magic with the work that we do. I hire students. My team is students now. So my video and sound editor is my son's best friend that I know since he's, I don't know, 6. And he's studying sound engineering at Drexel. And he's a musician. So we have custom music for every video.
Love it.
It's, and he's really good at what he does.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Magic all around.
Yeah.
Magic with the music, magic with the customization, magic that this course is $300 and packed full of goodness. All right. You just want to go follow Donna, know what she's up to, get all the things. Now, Donna, in between, is there a freebie that people can go grab from you right now, like while they're waiting for this other thing to drop?
Yes, on my website, there is a Gather Your Story guide, which has kind of like some guidance and a checklist for how you can go through what you already have and gather your own story. And it could be, you don't need a video. You could just share this. What happens when you are vulnerable and honest and true to who you are online? That's what attracts people. That's what attracts the people that are meant to meet you. There's a story going on now online. I can't remember the woman's name, but I'll come back and I'll post links in the chat. But she posted up on social media a couple of days ago that she did her first book launch party and 2 people showed up. And
Oh,
Neil Gaiman, is that his name? The science guy? Him and
oh,
like a bunch of people, famous authors, posted on there and shared their stories of like, their failed book launches and like things that didn't work out for them. I mean, hundreds of comments. And she was interviewed on NPR this morning. She was interviewed, I mean, a couple of different things. She doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to reach out to her and offer to do a video for her. Um, but she's just Cinderella story. Her life exploded, and all she did was go on social and like honestly show her despair that 2 people showed up for her book launch party, and her life is changed. Okay,
oh
you
my
can't. This is what I'm saying. Like you can't buy PR like that. This is
God,
what happens when you show up and you're just you. I mean, what she
no.
was posting up a couple of days ago was like recipes.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love a good Cinderella story. Who doesn't?
So yeah, I've been collecting stories like that, and those will be in the course too, because I really want to show that if you know how to do this and you're scrappy and you're smart and you're curious and inquisitive and open to, trying new things, the opportunities are right there. Like one of my clients years ago said, working with me was like going scuba diving. Like you look at the Caribbean Sea and it's beautiful and it's blue and it's lovely, and then you go underneath and there's a whole other world there. This is what you get to see, is that whole other world. And now there's so much divisiveness online. You want to stay out of that. You don't want to get sucked into that vortex of hate, right? So this is how you do that. You know where you want to be, and you're intentional about where you go. And it's these little pockets of audiences where you want to connect, and knowing like what you actually need. Somebody might be out there telling you that you need to grow zillions of followers and do ads and do all of these things. You don't. You just need to like put in the time to understand who you want to connect
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many wonderful nuggets from this conversation, Donna. So thank you. Thank you so much. We're at time, folks. Like poof. And there you are, like 35 minutes. And it was a rockin' good time. Donna, thank you so much for being with us today on Open Book Broadcast.
My pleasure.
And folks, I've got the last episode of Open Book Broadcast for the year coming up on Tuesday, December 20th. We'll be talking to an author, forthcoming author and podcast host on December 20th at 10:15. So please join us again there. And in the meantime, if you want to know anything else about The Right Place, Right Time and your host, me, Allie, please visit therightplacerighttime.com. Feel free to check this replay out on LinkedIn or head over to the YouTube channel and watch this episode and all the other fabulous Open Book Broadcast episodes that are posted there. And until next time, bye.
Thank you.